Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Bank of the West is offering the 1% for the Planet checking account. It gives back to the planet at no cost to you, and there's no monthly service charge with any deposit per statement. Only from Bank of the West. Learn more at bankofthewest.com/1%. Additional conditions apply. Member FDIC.
The Bachelorette and Friends. From first love to happy ever after.
What's that?
From dating to dick pics.
Oh my. Oh no!
The Bachelorette and Friends. Oh, I love a good dick.
This podcast contains sexual references, coarse language, and adult themes from the beginning and throughout. It is not recommended for listeners under the age of 15.
Guess what, lovers? The Bachelorette, there's always a catch, is back on stage in 2021. First up, The Mill, Adelaide Fringe Festival, from the 18th to the 28th of February, 7:30.
Tickets on sale at the Adelaide Fringe website.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Bachelorette and Friends. I'm your host, Carla Anita Matiazzo, and today's guest is Daniel Doody. He's a roving reporter and producer for Studio 10. Welcome to the podcast, Daniel.
Carla, what a beautiful intro. I loved it. Very animated, very eloquently spoken. So
Thank
beautiful.
You,
Carla. Rolls off the tongue. I love it.
Thank you, darling. That's so kind. Thanks for coming on and joining us and having this conversation and opening up the doors a little bit into your life. So for the listeners, they know by now, if they've listened to a few series, that we talk about first crushes to happy ever after and everything in between. A lot of the times we end up on tangents, and that's encouraged and totally fine. So let's start there. Can you remember your first crush, Daniel?
Oh, yes. Easy. It was a Charlie's Angels character.
Right.
Yes, and it was Farrah Fawcett. 1970. She was one of the Charlie's Angels character. Mm-hmm. Very good looking, hair wavy, so attractive, beautiful blue eyes, mm-hmm. Pure milky skin, absolutely beautiful. And I was drawn just like other teenage boys.
Yeah,
and
right.
There was just an infamous, I don't know if you would say an infamous picture, but a great picture, an iconic picture of mm-hmm. Farrah. She's no longer with us. And she's in a I believe like an orange swimwear top, I think. But it's an iconic picture. Yeah, bikini top. Yeah, it's an iconic picture. And I was drawn to it. I don't have that poster anymore, but yes, that was my first crush.
Did you have the poster on your wall as a kid?
Yes, I did.
Just the one, or
just
were there multiple ones, Daniel?
I think I printed quite a few. So there was one on the wall and many underneath the bed and on the ceiling.
I love it. So good. So that was a celebrity crush, yeah? Did you have any crushes after her that were of your classmates or your peers or family friends? Was there anybody in your real life that you felt like your heart skipped a beat?
Yes, I did have a crush on a girl. How old was I? I was 13 and she was 14. So she was older than me. Yes, I know. Wow. Doody, what are you doing with an older girl? Yeah, you doggy boy. And I met her at a party in Manly, and back then I was singing quite a bit, because when I was a young boy, I was into singing and performing in Talent Quest and so forth. And she saw me perform one night, and we got to talking,
Oh.
and then we were boyfriend and girlfriend for a few months. And
Cute.
a radio presenter a few months ago, she wrote a tweet saying, "What did you like your first kiss?" ? And I tweeted back. I said, "I loved it."
Okay, tell us about your first kiss then, Daniel.
Is this conversation private? If so, hopefully no one's listening. But I'm going to tell you anyway, because it's between us, right?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, good. Whew. Oh, lucky. I thought you were going to just make it public to everyone. It was beautiful. I was like a 13-year-old boy, and I was like, oh, my first kiss. What? It was just...
Set the scene, Daniel. Where were you?
At a bus stop. Is that beautiful? Is that romantic?
Oh, so romantic. So romantic.
And it was during the day. There was a lot of people around. I didn't care because I was 13.
Yeah.
So, who cares? And we kissed, and it was great, and I loved it, and it was beautiful, and I wanted more.
That's very sweet, Daniel.
Because I'm a lovable person.
Yeah, well, that's obvious. You give off a lovely vibe. So you're very open and warm vibe. So I can imagine at 13 years old with no filter, I can imagine, as you're learning as a young person who you are. And yeah, I can imagine how giving you were in that scenario at the bus stop, Daniel.
Oh, so that's what a French kiss is like. Oh, wow. I want more of that, please.
Who initiated it? Was it you or her?
Oh, her.
Yes. Oh, hello. So she was older and she initiated the first kiss.
Yes. And it was, as I said, it was lovely. And I wanted more of it, and I got more of it. So there you go.
Excellent, Daniel. Excellent. So did you bring her home? Like, did Mum and Dad meet her, or was this just strictly we're only boyfriend, girlfriend at school situation?
Yeah, so I met her folks, and the relationship didn't last too long. So, unfortunately, she didn't get to meet my folks. But, at the time, it was only a few months, and it was fun. We had fun. I was young, didn't care about responsibility. You don't because you're not paying rent. You're not paying bills or anything. You're at home eating mum and dad's food, grocery shopping. They give you pocket money. So really, I just... life was good growing up as a teenager.
I like to think the high school relationships are like training wheel relationships, because there's no responsibility, no pressure in regards to any adulting stuff. You can just enjoy each other's company. So did the family know that you had a girlfriend?
Yes. Yep. Mum knew, and she said, just enjoy it.
That's nice.
And I did. It was lovely. And being young, you really don't take the relationship serious. It's not like I was young and I was thinking, we're going to get married, we're going to have kids. You don't think of that. You just take each day as it comes and you enjoy. And that's what I did.
So do you think you'd pass that same sentiment on to your son when he gets that age? Or when he starts being interested in whoever he ends up being interested in?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, he's only 9 months, so he's got about another 12 years or so. And he's a beautiful boy.
Yeah, he's very cute.
Whoever he dates, whether that be a man or woman, we will welcome them with open arms.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, Daniel. That's gorgeous. I love that so much. From there, from that little relationship at 13, 14, what happened next, Daniel, in your love journey?
It started to get serious. 16, watch out.
Okay.
I was like, becoming more mature. And so I started to take relationships a little bit more serious.
Right.
And so I met this girl, and when I was 16, and we just hit it off in drama class.
Ah, brilliant.
Yeah, so we had similar interest, drama, singing, and I think we were together for over 6 months, and I thought, this is great. And I think around the age of 16, I think looking back at it now, I think I was clingy. And
why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Oh, well, just because I was always very protective of our relationship, and I guess I always wanted to be close to her and to be with her.
You're enthusiastic.
Yeah, I know, and maybe I was a bit too lovable, but we had fun, and I met her. I met her folks. I think she met mine. I can't remember, and we were high school sweethearts. Well, I thought we were, and then after 6 months or so, she broke up with me. I know.
Oh, darling.
Bring out the violins, please. And this was when I was was when we were in year 11. So we still had another year left.
Oh, shit. Yep, I know this story too well, Daniel.
So, and me, I was crying uncontrollably. Female high school friends, they were consoling me, saying, "Don't worry, there's plenty of fish in the sea. You'll be fine. You'll be fine." And I was like, "No, I miss her." And she was obviously she cried as well, but she moved on a lot quicker than I did.
Right.
And because jealousy is very bad, very, very bad. And I say that because I'm such a lovable character and I want you all to myself, that jealousy tends to creep in. Do you know what I mean? And then it's a really bad sort of emotion. There's like healthy jealousy where, I'm really jealous of your talent. You're so talented. And that's a good way of looking at it. Or the other side of being bad jealousy, where you're like, this is all mine. I'm mine. Don't take it. Don't touch it. And I was creeping into that sort of being quite a jealous person. So after a few months, I sort of was like, you know what? Dude, come on, you're only 16, man. Get over it. Get over yourself. And I moved on, and so did she.
So how did you move on?
Well, seeing that I'm a lovable character, I just wanted to find my next French kiss, hey?
So who was the next French kiss then?
Oh, who was next? Yes. So how old was I? 19. There we go, 19. And I was performing quite a bit in RSL clubs, singing in that. And a friend had invited a couple of girls to watch one of my performances. And she liked what she saw. Me singing, dancing, being silly, being the crowd pleaser, entertaining the crowd. And then we got to talking and it was like, hello, baby, welcome to Doody land. And we were together for a few months and just lots of kissing, which I love, as you know.
Well, that's lovely. So, from what I'm understanding from the stuff that you've shared, Daniel, it seems that you have, in a mature fashion, given yourself enough time between each relationship to get yourself together. Because I think that's an important thing. So the first one was at 13, and the second one was at 16, and then the third one was at 19. So, look, I think you did a very good job there, Daniel, at spreading those out and making sure that you had an adequate childhood as well, not just from one relationship to the other. I think that's very good, Daniel.
And Carla, there was one more at 21, and then it stops.
Da, da, da. Okay, tell us about the love of your life. Let's hear it. Let's hear it, Daniel.
Yeah, the love of my life. So, how old am I now? 33.
Mm-hmm.
So I must have met Jo. She was my girlfriend and now wife. So I met her 10 years. So how old were we 10 years ago? 23?
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. So, yeah. So I was 23 and Jo was 21.
Mm-hmm.
And we met on a cruise ship in Turkey.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah, so I was working as an entertainer, and I had a 6-month contract with an English company called Thompson Celebration, and they were touring around the country in Oz looking for singers, dancers, hosts, and entertainers. And my friend, who's also a singer, she said, there's an audition. This was back in 2009. She said, there's an audition happening next week, and it's an English company looking for singers and dancers for a cruise ship.
Incredible.
And yeah, I was 22. I was working in hospitality, and I was like, and I was singing in RSL club. So I thought, you know what, I'll just do something different. And so I went to the audition. They gave us a couple of songs to audition to, a couple of dance routines. And then the following week I heard back saying that I was successful.
Wow, Daniel.
And my friend, unfortunately, she wasn't successful.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah, I know. And she was the one that sort of mentioned the audition. So I was like kind of sad for her, but at the same time I was happy for myself. And it was really tough. Like, we were training and rehearsing for 3 months prior to going onto the cruise ship. So they flew a few of us from Australia who were successful to the UK. We stayed in a little English village called Keighley, which is near Leeds, which is about 40 minutes or so from Leeds. Apologies if I got that wrong to any to our English listeners. We were just non-stop. I was getting paid to rehearse, so that was good. And we were just training, and they were just like slogging us for 3 months, and I lost so much weight. But after 3 months, we were prepared. Then they flew us from the UK to Egypt.
Wow.
And then from Egypt, we flew from Egypt to Turkey, and then our port that we would always go back to after a week or 2 weeks, depending on the itinerary, was Marmaris in Turkey. So for 6 months, I was living it up. I was enjoying myself. I was 23. I was young. I was in partying and meeting other people, early 20s.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You have fun. you know, and I was getting paid to perform. Halfway through my contract, though, I lost my voice and I couldn't be part of the show team anymore. So they were like, okay, well, can you host and be like an entertainer and host quizzes and so forth? And I said, yeah, I can do that. So I was hosting quizzes, doing the odd show here and there. And then towards the end of my contract, I met Joanne Peake. And
look at your face. It just lights up when you say her name. That's so gorgeous, Daniel.
So I met Joanne Peake, and she came on to the cruise ship with her sister. This was in September 2010. And my job was to meet and greet people. You know, I was doing my job. I promise, Carla, I promise you I was doing my job. It was a beautiful night in Marmaris, Turkey, a beautiful Turkish island. The next lot of people came on board, and I went up to Jo and her sister Sam and introduced myself. Got them up dancing, and for a week we just hit it off. You know, I started to find out who she was, where she was from, and she was doing the same thing. And we just got to talking. Huge cruise ship, so there were a few days that we didn't bump into each other, but then we finally did. And there was a sneaky suspicion that she was trying to find me as well, because a few years down the track, she's like, oh, you know, when we were on the cruise ship, you know, there was a few days where I was actually trying to look for you and trying to find you, because I wanted to talk to you and get to know you more. So that was sweet. And then I know. And then after, it was only 1 week, her and her sister were on, and before you know it, their holiday was finished. But we exchanged numbers, and I said to her, you know, let's keep in contact. And then my contract finished after 3 months had gone past, and you know, I said to Jo, I said, hey, look, before I fly to Sydney, I'm staying in Heathrow. Do you want to, for the night, do you want to come over? And she did, and lots of kissing. And then I know, and then after that, lots of crying. Aww. And I said to her, I don't know what's going to happen, but look, let's try a long distance relationship. Let's see how we go. And then we said goodbye. She carried on with her life because she was from the UK. She was from England, from Brighton, so down south.
Right.
And she carried on back home to Brighton, and I went back home to Sydney because I was living in Sydney at the time. And so we just kept talking, kept in contact, long distance. Skype was a thing, and people were using it quite a bit. Facebook was still developing, so I wasn't using Facebook much. I was mainly communicating, either talking to her over the phone or doing video calls through Skype, and we did that quite a bit. And I was working in an Italian restaurant. There you go, Carla, Italian. Mamma mia, Italian restaurant. Very good. I was working in an Italian restaurant in Sydney, and then I said to Jo, why don't you come over to Sydney? I'll look after you. Aww. You know, you don't need to pay for accommodation. And then she did. She came the following year, 2011, in July, I think it was. And she spent 5 weeks in Sydney, and we had a great time. She left, lots of crying, loads of crying. And then I said to her, you know what? I'm going to work my butt off. And I did. I saved all my pennies. And then I got a return. I got a visa, a working holiday visa. Wow. And then at the end of the year, I moved to England to be with her.
Amazing.
And,
Daniel,
yeah.
that's love.
Yeah.
Fucking hell,
That's
that's
love. And we've had our ups and downs, just like every other relationship out there. You can't say that it's all perfect in a relationship, because I would find that very hard to believe. At the end of the day, as long as you say I love you and you work it out and you sleep before you before you go to bed, you say I love you, you work out your differences or whatever that situation is, and then you could worry about the next day.
Yeah, it's all about communication, Daniel. I totally
Absolutely. So 2 years in the UK on working holiday visa. Boy, I was working hard. Geez, the pay at the time was pretty low in the UK. Yes. I couldn't have said it better myself. I was working 2 jobs. And long hours, and get paid monthly. And by the time you pay all your bills, and I was like, geez, being an adult is hard. I was left with like, okay, so we can only go to a restaurant and then once, and can't do anything else. Got to find something else to do for free.
There's plenty of stuff you can do for free, Daniel.
Absolutely. And we made the most of it while we were there. And then after 2 years, nearly 2 years, Joe was like, your visa is about to end, and I've always wanted to live in Australia.
Wow.
And I was like, are you sure? I said, I'm happy to renew my visa. And she's like, oh, no, let's give it a try. And, so we packed our bags, and towards the end of 2013, we left the UK. And before then, I was like, I'm getting a bit old. I need to study something. What can I study? And I was watching a lot of news and a current affair. So I was like, I'll do a course in journalism. I found one in Melbourne. And then I was like, why don't we move to Melbourne? And I did have family in Melbourne, but I hadn't been. I didn't know what Melbourne was like. She says, yeah, sure, why not? So we were freshies. And so we moved from the UK to Melbourne. Rocky start, but we found our way. We both landed jobs straight away. And I did my course the following year, graduated from journalism. And then that's when my career started in 2015. And fast forward now, we have a beautiful baby boy named Reggie Doody. We've been married for 4 years, and
lovely.
we've been together for 10 years now. So,
Daniel, that's a gorgeous story. You need to write that down, because I feel like that would be a good movie.
Oh, you think so? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because
the
traveling, how you guys met, the meet cute, how you guys met, you living over there with her coming back, and then when you guys were long distance at the start, you could have like the pining scenes for each other. And dude.
Well, maybe we could collaborate on something. I'd be more than happy. And we obviously need to find the perfect actors for the role. And I'm sure our favourite holiday destination is actually Adelaide. A couple of years ago, and I think at some stage in our lives, we'd like to live in Adelaide just to see what it's like, because we've been there a couple of times. We absolutely love Adelaide and what it has to offer and so forth. So that's something down the track. But when we do come to Adelaide for a holiday, we'll let you know.
Yeah, please do.
We can collaborate. We could work on this
I'll
beautiful.
be your little
authentic-
host of Adelaide. I'll take you around to see the sights of South Australia.
Please do.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff that I haven't even seen in South Australia. It'd be a good excuse for me to get around and see stuff too that I haven't seen, because there is quite a lot here. Yes, it's a different pace to the eastern states. But I love it. I've lived overseas and interstate. I love it. I know a lot of people bag on Adelaide, but I do like it.
I know a lot of people do bag on Radelaide, but not the Doodies. The Doodies don't. The Doodies love Radelaide.
That should be a T-shirt. Should have a T-shirt saying the Doodies love Adelaide.
Yeah, 100%. I'm making one right now. I'm just typing my T-shirt company, as you can see, and I'm ordering some right now. Huge love hearts. The Doodies love Adelaide. Hashtag Doody loving. Hashtag Carla loving.
Oh my God, so good. So good. So tell me a bit about your wedding. What did you do? Did you have a big wedding? Did you have a little intimate one? Did you elope? What did you do?
So 70 people? Is that small?
Perfect size.
And it wasn't a sit down. It was more, there were tables and chairs, so you could sit down. It wasn't like a 3-course meal. It was actually finger food. And we wanted people to sort of mingle around. Lovely. And I emceed our own wedding.
How the fuck did you cope with that? That would have been so stressful, man.
Well, I didn't trust anyone else, and with my past life and being in the media industry and being a performer, I thought, you know what, I know what I want, so I'm going to do it myself. I know the flow, I know the order. And Joe was like, are you sure you want to? And I said, yeah, because she's like, fine. And she was just like, okay, I'll just leave it to you because I'm going to sort my stuff out. You just, you just do you. So
how did it go? How did the emceeing go at your own wedding? How did it go?
Well, I always had a drink in my hand, so there you go. That's a good start. It was a very strong drink, and it was fine. I was relaxed because I knew the order in my head. I knew what was going on, so it was fine. I wasn't stressed at all, and
you would have worked the room. It would have been great.
Yeah, that's it. And the only thing was, maybe I should have shortened our wedding dance. It was quite long. It was about 10 minutes. My mistake. It was a medley of songs, and I couldn't choose.
Yeah, that's fair.
I know. Sorry about that. Sorry, everyone who came to our wedding and had to endure Joe and I dancing for 10 minutes. It was beautiful, but horrific. Horrifically good. It was horrifically good.
I'm sure everybody would have loved it.
They did.
What were the styles? What were the styles in the wedding? Daniel?
It was popular tunes. I love my 80s music. So it was a mixture of 80s numbers, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston. I think I have a the long version that hasn't been edited.
Yes. On
my laptop, and then the edited version. So a collection of 80s classic, and I choreographed it.
Of course you did. I love it so much.
Of course I did. Yeah, so Joe at the time thought I was mad. She still does. So in a lovely way.
I love that so much, Daniel. That's awesome. Too often do you hear stories from dudes when they get married that they don't partake in any of the organisation or anything. I love that you're like, no, I've got the MC stuff and I'm going to choreograph our 10-minute dance and I'm going to have a competition of the music. You're going to love it. I love that so much, Daniel. It's so good. Yeah. So good.
Maybe next time
you give a shit.
Maybe I'll just choose one song, but it's very hard when there's so many good songs from the 80s. Am I right, Carla?
Yes, I would find it, if I ever got married, I'd find it very hard. I think I'd be doing the same thing of a compilation of a few songs, and I'd be choreographing it. I would, I totally understand where you're coming from, Daniel.
Audience members, I've got a cracking dance routine. It goes for 2 hours. Sit back and enjoy.
It's a whole opera sequence, so get comfortable. Get comfortable. Oh man!
And I could just sense that some of my family members were like, "Hurry up!" But we still did it to the end anyway, and I loved it. We loved it.
What was the final pose? Can you remember of the dance, Daniel? I know this is an audio medium.
No, that's fine. It was. So it was audience participation, and we got everyone to do the conga because the last song was Conga by Gloria Estefan, and so everyone is doing the conga. That's what you do at a wedding. Audience participate. It was like a show. The wedding was like a show. So it was the Doody show.
So good, Daniel. So good. I'm sure everyone would have absolutely loved it. And that's bringing everyone together doing the conga.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what the Doodies is all about, bringing people together.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it. It's beautiful, Daniel. It's beautiful. Yeah. I can just picture all the different people in the conga line. And for some reason, I have pictures of like one old dude with a walking stick, an old lady with a frame, but they're still doing the conga at the wedding.
And it's funny you say that, Carla, because there was a lady in a frame.
There you go. There you go. You included everybody. Oh, that's so good. So good, Daniel. So good. So for people out there who are planning their wedding, Daniel, what advice would you give the bride and groom, or the groom and the bride and bride? What would you give prospective people who are about to get married? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, sure. So just when you are giving your vows, just be natural, be open, be real, and you can have it. You can have like a little notepad and just write a few things that come from the heart. And also just make sure that when you're getting like your little flowers and all the flowers arranged, just make sure that the florist knows that it is actually your wedding day, and so that they're not having to rush to the shop when they're closed to find out that they had put the order in their wrong tray on the wrong day. And so just make sure that, and also just make sure that when you do go to a retailer, that they have a contact phone number on their shop front and advertised online as well. Just make sure that there's a contact number, rather than trying to go through the Australian Florist Association to find out the person who works there on a Sunday, it's closed, and you're panicking. Finally, we got them half an hour before the wedding.
Oh, mamma mia. Okay. Well, at least they got it.
So, yes, just make sure that you have the florist's contact details on hand, just in case. You never know. I'm just saying. And have a good time. Have fun.
Does it go fast?
Before you know it, it does. Before you know it, it's finished. You blink and the wedding's done. So make sure you make the most of it. Really, and don't be forceful in trying to talk to everyone. A lot of couples want to do their best by talking to everyone, and sometimes you may not get around to talking to everyone. Just be natural. If you miss talking to someone, that's okay. They're there to celebrate your moment, the two of you. And, you know, you'll eventually get to speak to them. You might not get to speak to them on the wedding night because you've got 200 guests and unfortunately you don't get around to them all, but they will understand, and they will know that they are very honoured and privileged that you invited them firstly to your wedding, and that they will understand that if you don't get around talking to them, that's okay. You'll speak to them next week. You'll catch up with them for dinner the following week or following month. So, yeah, that's my advice.
Sound advice, Daniel.
Doody being wise.
Well done, mate. I think people will take away a lot of that advice and use that soundly and effectively in their wedding planning. How did you propose, Daniel? I should have asked you that before I asked you to the wedding.
No, that's okay. So at the time I was studying journalism, so I got a group of my former students to do a flash mob dance. This was in Melbourne, so at the Sky Deck Tower. I'm not advertising, okay? I'm not advertising. I haven't been paid to say their name, just putting it out there. So as the Sky Deck Tower, I told my family, I'm going to propose to Joe next week. Just act natural. You could stay over, just say, you know, you're here on a holiday, whatever, but really you're here to witness the proposal. And Joe had just finished work, and she was probably wondering why the hell I was wearing a suit. Anyway, I lied to her and said, I just did a work experience with some, I don't know, I made it up. Anyway, so she was not dressed well. She didn't look great. But that's good.
I'm sure she's going to love to hear that, Daniel.
It's on record, so I'm happy to say that. Anyway, she was none the wiser. So we go up Sky Deck Tower, beautiful tower that overlooks Melbourne City. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. I arranged it all a week prior, saying, oh, can we have this section? The manager I organised music, like a medley of songs, that didn't go for 10 minutes. Only went for 3 minutes.
Right.
A full song. That's good. And out of nowhere, my journalist friends, we all got up and did a flash mob routine to the song. And I went on my knee and got out the ring. My family were there. Joe said yes, thankfully, luckily. And asked her, will you marry me? And she said yes. There was lots of tears. I was crying. She was crying. My journalist friends were crying. My family were crying. People who were there visiting were crying. We were all crying. I'm crying now. It was just a crying fest. It was a crying festival.
Oh, but that means everyone was happy. That's lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was. And then it took a year to prepare and arrange our wedding. And
perfect.
Yeah, married 2016, March the 20th. Oh, hopefully I got that right. You're putting that on record, are you?
The attention to detail is outstanding, Daniel. And to have, from what I'm picturing in my head when you're describing that scene, having your family, your friends there in a beautiful location, all that effort, that's so special. That's really special. And not too often do you hear, especially in Australia, not too often do you hear of that amount of effort, care, attention to detail. I think it's just in what I'm picturing. It's just, that's very special, Daniel. That's really
thank you.
Special.
It was a beautiful thing, and you know, to some, it may be cheesy, but no. I don't care. You know, that was a thing that I felt was right for me and my personality to do it the way I felt would suit me, and I didn't care what anyone else think. And there were a lot of people that were willing to help and participate, my journalist friends, and my family were wanting to see and witness it as well. And, I didn't have to pay for the Sky Deck to corner office space or play music. I told them of the idea and they were on board straight away.
Oh, wow.
And so, they were more than happy to accommodate, and I'm forever grateful that they did.
Oh, brilliant. That's so good. I can't emphasize enough how special that is, Daniel. It's lovely. And
I've got proof as well. My friend, she recorded it. So
good.
So, we can look back and reflect, when back in my day, when I was a young boy, and I'll show Reggie, and Reggie's like 40 years old and I'm like 80, and Reggie, Reggie, come use this computer. How do you press play? I want to show you mum and dad when I propose.
I hope you do that. I hope you make Reggie, I hope you make Reggie, when he brings his, the love of his life over and you can tell that they're being serious, you'll be, right, sit down, you need to see this.
And I'm going to talk like this. Oh, come here, Reggie. I want to say, can you get me a cup of tea? And where's my walking stick? Why am I talking like this? I don't know. I'm an actor.
You're going to give me a heart attack. Oh, my God. I hope you're enjoying this episode of The Catchalorette and Friends. Make sure you follow the podcast at The Catchalorette Pod on Instagram. And if you think your love journey is worth sharing with me on the podcast, send me an email, thecatchalorettepod@gmail.com, or slide into my Instagram DMs. Oh, and don't forget to give the podcast a review and tell all your motherfucking people to listen to the show. Now let's get back to this episode. Thank you so much, Daniel. Is there any parting words of wisdom you would like to leave our listeners with?
Keep positive, be happy. Life's too short to worry about the negatives in life. And, if you are having a tough day, there are other people out there that are worse off. So be happy, keep positive, and keep going. #Doody loving.
Fabulous. Thank you again, Daniel, for coming on. It's been fucking delightful.
Thanks, Carla, for having me. And let's collaborate soon, yeah?
Yeah, man. Bring it on. And please thank Joe for letting me steal you for some time.
No worries. Anytime.
The Catchalorette, with friends near and far, from heartache to catfish and sex toys. Ooh, The Catchalorette and Friends. See you next time, if you dare.
Bank of the West is offering the 1% for the planet checking account. It gives back to the planet at no cost to you, and there's no monthly service charge with any deposit per statement. Only from Bank of the West. Learn more at bankofthewest.com/1%. Additional conditions apply. Member FDIC.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.